So what evidence convinces you that a God exists?
Like I say, there's no evidence. It's a feeling, and it's a feeling that
So this is an emotional thing. Completely.
It is very emotional. So a lot of it's from my mother. And, my mother was not a devout Christian toward the end when she died. She started slipping into, like, Buddhism and stuff, and then she just kind of, I think that her pain and going through all the cancer she had and stuff, I think she was being tried, going through a lot of trials, crisis of conscience.
Yeah.
But still, what she passed on to us, you just feel like it still lives, and I think a lot of what you said, Russell, that's your name, Russell?
Yes.
Yeah, what you said resonated with me, but I just feel like it goes on after death. And I think my main point has always been the soul, and I think that's the big dividing line. Because I don't care about creationism, I don't care about all that stuff. I just care about the soul, and the fact I think that it exists, even if while we're alive, it still exists.
Right. Well, I mean, I appreciate your nice words, and I hate to needle you a little bit, but I think it would be fair to say that what you said at first, which was you have your reasons and I have my reasons, isn't exactly accurate. What you meant was you have your reasons and I have my feelings.
Right. Okay.
I mean,
that's right. You're right. Okay. To define the word reason, I understand. Yeah. Okay. So I have my conclusions, or I guess you would say, and my conclusions. And you have your conclusion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can't argue with your feelings, obviously, and I don't really want to. I think that it makes more sense to base what you think on solid reasons, and that's what we try to say on the show. But we don't disagree that people have their feelings also.
Yeah.
And if you're not, like people say sometimes, if you haven't been reasoned into a position, then you can't be reasoned out of it.
Yeah.
Right.
So okay, you still believe in a God and you still listen to us. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think most people, when you encounter these people like going, stay away from those atheists. I mean, they're afraid to even read any kind of all kinds of different arguments. As I've described, they're afraid to. Everybody needs to listen to every argument, and then you make your own decision.
Right. Well, I always hope too that what this show does, in order to make a positive influence, is not only try to make atheists out of everybody, because one, that's too much work, and two, I'm not really sure that it's worth it.
Yeah, I don't know that it's possible.
But what I do like to say is that we'd rather have somebody be a liberal Christian than a fundamentalist Christian, and we'd rather have somebody be an agnostic than a liberal Christian, and we'd rather somebody be a serious atheist than just a pure agnostic.
Yeah.
So if I helped your drift towards our side, then I'm satisfied. Although I think that knowing that you don't really have a reason for God, I would hope that you would eventually drift more. But that's not my business.
Yeah. I would want to point something out to you is that I don't choose not to believe in a God. It's that I don't believe in a God.
Right.
So for me, this is not an act of will. I can't believe that a God exists because I've looked for a God in every place where I should find one.
I'm sorry. Well, were you raised? Were you? Because I know Russell was raised with an atheist parents. I've heard him say. Were you raised in an atheist household?
No. My father, in fact, was a Methodist lay minister.
Oh, I see. I see. My father's a minister too. I mean, well, he's a minister. He just became one in later years. So
my father was planning to actually go to the seminary. He was retired, and he decided that he'd been a lay minister long enough. He was going to go to the seminary, and then he fell ill and subsequently died. So he never actually got to realize that dream. But yeah, I mean, he had and that's why it's very interesting to me when people email us or call us and saying, "Hey, you've just never read the Bible, or you just don't understand it." And I always want to ask them, okay, given that my father had a much more sophisticated understanding of the Bible and apologetics than these people do on average, you know, what makes you think that you can tell me something that he couldn't, that would convince me? You know?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Like I said, my main focus was my mother and the emotional upbringing we had, and another the aspect of religion that it gives people comfort. I was thinking of during the Haiti devastation that in Haiti that a lot of people turn to, you know, as usual, they turn to religion to kind of help them get through it. And I think it can't be a bad thing to have religion around if it gives people like, hey, look, let's nail one hunk of wood next to another one across another one and go out and, you know, pray to it for help, you know, for comfort, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, it's kind of a dicey thing because when you commit to believing in something that you don't have good reasons for, then there's often a whole host of baggage that brings with it. Like, you know, people say, for instance, what's the harm of somebody pretending to be psychic, even if they're not a real one? But you know, when you look at it in the big picture, there winds up being a lot of harm that comes out as a consequence of people willing to believe in psychics, like people who are gullible and vulnerable and in a tricky position, getting bilked out of thousands of dollars for the promise to communicate with their dead relatives, or psychics who claim to be able to investigate a crime but don't actually have any actual powers, wasting a bunch of time and misdirecting police resources towards something that could have been used to actually solve the crime.
Yeah.
But anyway,
you're right. That is the big picture for that. But the big picture in Haiti at that time was just people in a lot of pain, and their whole big picture was just what they were going through on day-to-day basis for, well, still probably to
yeah,
today.
and I'm sure there were a lot of people willing to step in and take advantage of it too. And you
Oh,
know,
yeah,
Mike, I
always
like
do.
talking to you, and I wish we had more time, but we are actually out of time for the week.
Thanks a lot.
So thanks for calling.
And there's our
that's our show,
crew.
everyone. And that's our great crew who you cannot meet today at Threadgills, but try again next week.
But we might be at Dog and Duck, so.
We might. Okay.
Some
See
of
ya.
us anyway.